Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another update. So today's update is going to be a little bit more interesting because I really just want to talk about what the unemployment situation is really like right now inside of our country. So not necessarily what's going on in Congress, although there is going to be something that relates to that, but much more about how unemployment is doing in general. And the real significance to why I'm trying to do this is because we officially recently just got brand new data, and surprisingly that recently just suggests that 1 week after unemployment ended, they were originally hoping that this was going to bring down the unemployment rate, but it turns out that according to new data is that it actually did the opposite. Apparently now it was recently found out that the unemployment numbers for the last recent week have actually now risen once again now, where about 332,000 people filed for unemployment in the last week, where they originally estimated that it was going to be about 318,000. Maybe for perspective is that essentially the week before that, it was just something less. So the idea really is that we are now seeing unemployment rates rise again. And the reasoning why I'm really trying to bring this up, if you're wondering, is really because at this current time, the big thing is a lot of these numbers are probably going to impact a lot of the stuff of what they end up doing in Congress. Because as most people know is that one of the big reasons that they sadly had to end unemployment, according to their words, is because they were trying to get people to go back to work. So based off of what's going on in the country as a whole, it is suggested that the unemployment rates may actually rise again. And why this is mentioned is really because of that reason, is that because if this really does end up happening, it is very, very possible that it may potentially incentivize people to, or simply put as this, to incentivize Congress to have greater reason to maybe try to extend it further. And I also just think, simply put, is that it's interesting to know, and it does impact a lot of things that's going on in the country as a whole. So with that being said, is we're going to talk all about that and basically how everything is really related, so definitely stay tuned for that. But as always, maybe real fast before we begin, consider smashing the like button because it's always greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, especially maybe any personal thoughts about the current situation. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So when it comes to the world of unemployment, but specifically about how unemployment is doing as a big picture, so again, not necessarily in Congress, but as a big picture, there are essentially two sides or things that are really impacting the unemployment situation right now. The first is obviously the fact that there are millions and millions of people that just fell off, and on top of the fact that a lot of them have managed to find it, that it's been apparently a massive struggle to be able to try to find employment. But then there's also another interesting side, which is called the Great Resignation, which you might have heard about, but the really huge recap about it is that it's essentially a movement that's going on right now where they've officially found that there's apparently millions of people every single month that are actually, interestingly, now trying to resign their jobs. And the wild thing is because a lot of these people will not necessarily be a part of the data when it comes to the unemployment rates, and the specific reason is because a lot of them didn't actually end up like physically losing their jobs because of circumstance, but they were people that actually walked away from their jobs. So these people are actually voluntarily doing it. For example, there was data that recently suggests right here that apparently about 4 million people quit their jobs in the month of July of 2021. And it was suggested that the biggest reasons why so many of them are really quitting their jobs right now, first off, is really because of the working conditions. A lot of people have basically found that there were a lot of jobs that maybe would involve working in some kind of hazard situation. This is especially true in industries such as like the healthcare. Sadly, even though they are the essential workers that we really, really do love and need, but at the end of the day is that they were people that were very much impacted by the pandemic because they were the ones that were basically considered the heroes that were supposed to help solve a lot of that stuff. So there's a lot of people right now that are essentially quitting their jobs. First off is because of the work conditions. condition. The second reason why is really because of a change of priorities. Because ever since the pandemic ended up happening, they found out that a lot of people were kind of better able to experiment or learn about different job opportunities that are out there. And as a result, they are now starting to essentially value different things that they look for in their job. For example, there are a lot of people that are now finding that apparently if they're able to work from home, they hope to be able to continue being able to work from home. Similarly, and I'm on the other side, interestingly enough, is that there's a lot of people that after working from home for so long, they might have gone through some kind of burnout from basically long hours, or just simply put is that they're now looking to go back to work much more because of social incentives, much more because of lifestyle, that they're hoping to try to go back. And this is really the side that I'm personally actually on. Of course, there's kind of two sides to it, but the big idea is that when people are in one particular side, but they want to be on the other side, then what happens is it incentivizes people to try to do a career change to go over there. So because of this disconnect where a lot of people are trying to change jobs right now, a lot of people are thinking is that this is probably the first thing that's going to potentially lead unemployment rates to skyrocket once again. The second thing that they really found out, and this is something that's going to be applying to a lot of red states that maybe will incentivize them, is that there was a lot of data that suggests is that ever since they ended the unemployment program, what actually also ended up happening, interestingly, is that they found that there was a lot of spending that happened on just the economic level in general. Supposedly, they found is that ever since they ended unemployment, specifically in the red states early, and certainly now that it's ended in most of the blue states as well, is that there were physically about $2 billion less money that basically went around of the country when they physically ended unemployment. So why this is particularly important is because if money doesn't flow around, then what ends up happening is that a lot of the businesses end up struggling as well. So the significance of this is that because there were a lot of, and again speaking objectively, is that there were a lot of red states that ended their unemployment program early because they were trying to incentivize people to go back to work, and also because they felt that it was going to help the economy because they want money to basically flow. Now they're finding is that it's actually doing the total opposite, actually, where ever since they ended up ending it, what happens is that now because people have less money, they are also saving more, therefore they are spending less, and as a result, jobs and businesses are taking a massive hit as well. And this is something that is impacting a lot of the people, the business owners that are trying to keep their businesses afloat and everything that's been going on. And these are businesses that many of the red states or red representatives are trying to promote, because again, a lot of them, they're really here for the businesses, for the people, for the rich billionaires and millionaires and all that kind of stuff. Now some of them are even being impacted as well. So why do I mention everything that I just did is really because based off of what's going on right now, a lot of people are believing that there is a chance that the unemployment rates might actually end up going up once again. And if this was end up happening, it may potentially try to maybe incentivize a lot of the politicians or give them even more reason on both sides of it. So both the blue states and also the red states, because again, the red states are trying to keep their businesses going because they're all about, again, big corporations. But now they're realizing that everything is connected. So the hope is that maybe if they're able to recognize this, maybe it'll incentivize them to try to do more unemployment. And I think the bottom line really is just to show is that it certainly is something that can, I think it's very, very fair to say, can help a lot of people. And specifically, we're talking about millions and millions of people that are going on right now. But at the very least, if anything, hopefully, now that they are starting to see a lot of people resign from their jobs as well, if they really are trying to find a lot of workers to hire, the other hope is that maybe this will get a lot of companies to also increase the actual quality of the jobs. So it's not just about trying to extend and get more unemployment, but maybe for people that actually do go back to work or are eventually hopefully able to find work, maybe this will hopefully finally be able to give companies maybe a little bit more care to basically improve the actual working conditions, and not just to give people jobs, but actually increase the actual physical quality of them, whether this is through pay, benefits, essentially just incentives to keep people around. But beyond this is really just what I really just wanted to share in today's update. It's just really something that I found interesting to maybe just share along about what's been going on as a whole. So if you guys maybe found something insightful about that, consider smashing the like button. As always, consider subscribing and hitting the bell. As always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about Honest Just Really thing, or maybe especially any personal thoughts, because I think it is an interesting thing that's happening right now. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time.